Hello from the Pioneer. Today we take you to a quieter but more dangerous side of the war. The side that burns not just cities, but the systems that keep nations alive. As the war between Russia and Ukraine passes its third year, it is no longer a war of territory or maps. It has become a war of endurance, a test of patience, resources, and willpower. When this conflict began, it seemed like a battle that could be won on the battlefield. Tanks, missiles, air raids, the tools of domination. But as time went on, something changed. Victory was no longer about who could conquer more land, but who could keep their system alive the longest. And increasingly, the battle is being fought not with soldiers, but with energy. At the beginning, Russia wielded its energy power like a weapon. It cut gas to Europe, limited oil exports, and tried to freeze the continent into submission. But now that balance of power is shifting, Ukraine has opened a new front, the energy front. Before we dive into the analysis, a quick reminder. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our daily reports and special analyses. I personally read all your comments, so keep sharing your thoughts with us and tell us in the comments what kind of stories you'd like to see next here on The Pioneer. And just days ago, an event lit up the sky over Russia's Samara region, marking a dramatic turn in this silent energy war. In the middle of the night, long-range drones, reportedly Ukrainian, pierced through Russia's defenses and struck one of the country's largest fuel refineries. In seconds, the dark horizon turned into a wall of fire. The blast echoed for miles, and by morning, smoke was all that remained. Smoke rising from the exposed vulnerability of a superpower. Moscow stayed silent at first. Then came the predictable statement, carefully worded: a technical malfunction occurred at the refinery. But on social media, the truth was impossible to hide. Videos showed flames devouring massive fuel tanks. Satellite images confirmed the damage. Entire energy lines had been destroyed. And behind the official silence, one truth became clear. The Kremlin is no longer untouchable. Ukraine's strike didn't just hit a refinery, it struck the veins of Russia's war machine. That fuel-powered tanks, planes, and the logistics that keep an army alive. And now one of those veins has been severed by a drone that traveled hundreds of kilometers into Russian territory. The effects were immediate. Fuel shortages began to spread across Russia. Diesel prices soared. In some cities, gas stations ran dry. Farmers preparing for the season found themselves without fuel. Truckers were stranded on highways. In desperation, the Kremlin banned fuel exports to prevent panic, but the panic was already spreading. For the first time, ordinary Russians began to feel the real weight of war. Experts say this was not just a tactical strike, it was a strategic turning point. Ukraine had found Russia's weak spot, its infrastructure. Its economy, not its army, was the soft target. And perhaps most importantly, these attacks showed that Russian air defenses, once praised as impenetrable, could be breached again and again. What's more, Ukraine never officially claimed responsibility, but sources close to Kyiv quietly say, "We've entered a new phase of the energy war." The goal is no longer to destroy troops, but to dismantle the system that keeps those troops fighting. Inside Russia, that reality is sinking in. Telegram channels overflow with footage, burning refineries, explosions, workers fleeing. The invincible image that Moscow built is cracking from within, and while officials insist everything is under control, everyone knows it isn't. This attack was not an isolated event. Similar explosions have rocked Kursk, Bryansk, Belgorod, and Orel. Each one exposes another fracture in Russia's armor. Fuel depots, power lines, ammunition warehouses, none are safe anymore. The front lines are moving not east or west, but inward. Inwards towards the heart of Russia itself. And with each blast, morale sinks lower, because every new explosion erases the illusion that the war is far away. Now the sirens don't just wail in Ukraine, they echo across Russian cities too. The war people once watched on television has arrived at their doorstep. For Putin, this is a defining moment. His strongest weapon, propaganda, is beginning to fail him. Every so-called victory is followed by a new explosion. Every situation under control is disproven by another fire in the night. As the pioneer has often said, this war is no longer about firepower. It's about endurance. And endurance, like fuel, eventually runs out. Ukraine understands this better than anyone. Even as Western aid slows, Kyiv continues to build its own drones, striking deeper into Russian territory each month. Every explosion is more than a military hit. It's a message to Moscow and to the world. We are still fighting. Will these attacks change the course of the war? Perhaps not immediately, but their psychological and strategic impact is undeniable. It's hard to measure the moment when confidence collapses, but when it does, it spreads faster than fire. And now, across Russia, people trust not the government's words, but the smoke rising from their own horizon. Because those flames don't just burn fuel, they burn certainty. And when certainty is gone, an empire begins to tremble. The energy war has become a war of morale, a battle between truth and illusion. Empires rarely fall on the battlefield. They collapse quietly from within. So perhaps what we saw in Samara was more than a refinery explosion. Perhaps it was the spark that ignited the beginning of something far greater and far more dangerous, because sometimes a single spark is enough to set the veins of an entire empire on fire.